Welcome to the overtime period. I am your host, Jacob Phillips, and joining me is Coach Kristin Drabyn and Coach Stan Gouard. First up, my conversation with Coach Kristin Drabyn. We're talking about the women's team, their latest trip to San Juan, Puerto Rico. They had two games this past Friday and Saturday. Friday they had St. Edwards. Saturday they had the 19th ranked team in the nation, Grand Valley State. Well, Coach, back from Puerto Rico. Got back, Sunday night? I think you guys got right back before we did. We were on separate flights.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, came out with a 1-1 record, but did you enjoy the time you had at Puerto Rico?
I did enjoy the time. It's good to have that time with the kids, and you get to spend time and get to know each other better and do things as a family, and that part was really fun.
What did you notice as one of the main differences from Puerto Rico from the States?
One of the biggest differences, well, of course, the weather is a lot nicer.
Overall, all year round, too.
Yeah, that part was really nice. But, they were already celebrating Christmas, and there was stuff up everywhere. And getting in the cab a few times to go scout games, nobody knew English, so that part was a little tough at times. I think Coach T and I got lost once or twice getting in the cab trying to go scout St. Edwards, and we were like, we just hope we get back to the hotel.
Did you like the little YMCA that you guys had to practice in?
Oh, my goodness. It was so hot, one. And then walking up there, I was like, oh, no, this might be one of those outdoor courts. I'm not really sure what we're getting ourselves into, but it was so old school.
Yeah, for sure. And then one of the main things I noticed was when we all went to tour Old San Juan on Thursday. I think it was like how narrow the streets are.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy. But you did have two basketball games to play. You played against St. Edwards. That was on Friday. And then you played Grand Valley State, which was ranked 19th. That was on Saturday. First of all, describe the difficulty of preparing your team for a back-to-back.
I mean, it's tough because you only get, a night of prep for that second game. And, playing a team like Grand Valley, you probably need a lot more than a night to prep for a squad that good. But we just got to do what we do well, and I think that's what we tried to focus on instead of focusing on those two teams as much as we can, but to get better as a basketball team in what we do. St. Edwards played a lot of zone, and Grand Valley played all man. So we have to be able to adjust in those situations as well, and I think our kids did a nice job.
Now, looking at Friday against St. Edwards, I want to know, you guys had 33 points at the end of the third quarter.
I know.
What did you
That will
think?
age me fast.
What were you thinking? You're like, oh, my goodness, 33 points?
Yeah, I mean, don't give them more possessions. Stop turning the ball over one. And, we need to get quicker shots when we got defensive rebounds to push the basketball a little bit more. And I think we had 22 points in that fourth quarter, so we finally started to figure it out and move the basketball better.
You did have 22 points
in
the fourth quarter. You outscored St. Edwards 22-9 in that final period. One thing, though, that really, really stands out, and I talked to you about this in the pregame show, was the fact that you guys gave up 39 points. Only 28% shooting. How impressed were you with your defense?
I think the one thing is we're trying to figure each other out offensively to play together. And, we've had a couple injured players that play a lot of minutes, so they're not practicing as much. And that's going to come. But on the defensive end, that you can control every day. And our kids have got to buy into that and box out and rebound. The other part, that will happen with time and experience. But defensively, they've really bought in. And I thought Devin Ferguson had her best weekend defensively, and that really helped us.
Now, as you said, most definitely, this was, for anybody that didn't know, 39 points was the least amount of points given up since the 2012-2013 season. I'm not sure. Did you know that?
You know all these awesome facts that I have no idea.
That's why I'm a radio broadcaster.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
We're just trying to break records here, I guess, every time we talk.
Apparently, and you've done that so far. So, offensively, of course, Sydney, she's just – it seems like every time that you need her to step up, she's always there. And as we were talking after the game on Saturday, were you a little eerie of playing her that many minutes in a back-to-back with the knee injury that she's had?
Yes and no. I mean – she's a competitor, and she's going to compete, and she wants to be there for her teammates. So when we do need her, she makes big buckets for us. And, her and I have a great relationship, and you got to be honest with each other, and I got to trust her and she's got to trust me, and she moved really well that weekend, and hopefully, the warm weather probably helped a little bit, but no, she's fine, and she's a competitor, and she's going to step up when we need her to, and she did that.
Now, one thing that was really weird, just a little off topic, but it just came to me, was the lack of points. Not only your team was scoring, but every other team. What was it about the Coliseum?
I don't know what it was, and it was funny because all the coaches, LCU, Grand Valley, St. Edwards, we were all talking in the hotel. We're like, nobody can score, and it was all across the board. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a road trip or being on the plane or something. So those are the games that you really have to defend and try to find ways to win down the stretch. And we did that against St. Edwards, and we didn't against Grand Valley, but we learned a lot against Grand Valley, and I think we became a better basketball team because of it.
And one big thing quickly as we end on the St. Edwards game was, I talked to you about this in the pregame show, was when Nicole came in for Jordan. It was in that free throw when she missed the first one, and
oh, yeah.
I think she had blood coming from her knee or something.
Yeah.
And you brought Nicole in, and it just seemed like that, like a spark flip with your team.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. Sometimes as a coach, you can't explain stuff. You're just happy that your kids, they figured it out. And this team's maturing really fast. I think we've won some close games, and I don't know if they did that last year. And to be able, we have 4 wins on the season already. And, Nicole's our senior leader, so I trust her to put her in and hit that free throw, and she did. And she's doing a nice job for us in that aspect. And I think we're growing each game, and that's all we can ask for right now, whether we win or lose, is just to get better every time we play. So
now, as we move on to the game that I'm sure you would love to forget about as you cringe, this has got to be a game that, no matter what the outcome was, you have got to be sort of proud of the way your team played. The 19th best team in the nation. You guys came in not favored the do as well as you're doing so far this year. And what positives did you see out of the game?
Our kids ran our offense really well that game, and they fought the whole time. They went on a run, we went on a run, and we went down early, I think 7-2, and our kids fought back. And then we just made some mental mistakes down the stretch. We're up 1 with 28 seconds to go, end of the third quarter, and, we want the last shot. We end up fouling one of their jump shooters, and they go up 1 to end the third quarter, and we can't do things like that, and we got to get better. But to be up by 1 at that point of the game against a Final Four team last year, it just speaks volumes of our kids and that they're buying in and that they're getting better. And, we watched a lot of film on that game and situations and mentally getting better. And I think I watched the game maybe 3 times already, but that's what you got to do.
The UIndy Grand Valley game?
Yeah.
We've been home for 2 days.
I know.
Once a day?
Yeah.
Did you watch it on the way home, too?
We got to get better. Yeah, we got to get better. And I love that our kids always have their notebooks and they're taking notes and they're learning. And, that's all you can ask for as a coach.
I guess you'll be more prepared when or if you face them in the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get through this week first.
Did you have one of those moments, the less than 24 hours to prepare? Did you have one of those up all night moments? Or have you had one of those yet?
Yeah, I think being a head coach, you're going to have a few of those moments. And, people tell you about them all the time. And you're like, no, I'll be okay. And then you get there and you're up at 3 a.m. and you're like, what in the world? But yeah, I care about these kids a lot, and our staff does a great job. I just want to be prepared for them, because if I'm not prepared, then they're not going to be prepared.
Now, the one player that Grand Valley had that I think, looking at the scouting report, that I would imagine that you were trying to prepare for was Janae Lings.
Yes.
She was 3 of 13 from the field, so that's something that you could take.
For sure. She's a really good player, really talented, and our kids did a nice job blocking in and making her take tough shots. And, some of those didn't fall. That a lot of days they do fall for her. And, playing a kid, and she's a tough kid, and she plays hard every possession, and she still helps the team out even if she's not hitting. But, it is helpful when a great kid like that, isn't hitting, but then you have someone like Bailey who comes in and gets 19 points and just hits threes, and we can't get lapsed on that.
Yeah, she was. It seemed like every time and they needed a 3-point shot, she somehow she found a way to get open.
Yeah.
But the one thing is, like, as we said, this team only shot 37% from the field, which is something you can really take away, because when you look at the game that they played on Friday against, I think it was Levitt Christian.
Mm-hmm.
The second half, they erupted, and you guys really found the way to just kind of keep that balance, because when you look at the box score, they never scored more than 20 points in a quarter, which is something that's very impressive. And then, of course, you look at the box score for you guys, 47 points. You shot 35% from the field, and I think that's just this weekend, besides, the win and the loss, just when you look at the shooting numbers, it's just kind of like, I mean,
it's hard for me to look at. I'm an offensive person, and so to look at that, you got to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. But you're going to have games that you're not going to hit shots, and that's why you got to be able to defend and rebound every game.
For sure. One thing that I have talked to you about quite a bit is our favorite topic, and it's not the technical foul. I know you didn't get one, so I'm still disappointed in you. But you're not going to get one. I
did get pretty rowdy though.
I saw.
I did.
I looked over and I was like, oh, man.
I did. I couldn't help it. But
okay, listen, before we move on, there was one call during the game, since I can say this now. There was one call during the game when I lost it. I about lost it. It was during the end of the game. Grand Valley had the ball, okay? And they tried an inside pass. It was a lob. And the ball got tipped. And Devin fell into one of the players after the ball got tipped because she was going for the ball, I'm pretty sure, and they called a foul.
Oh, the kid just fell.
Yeah.
She just tripped on her own feet, and they called the foul. They did that to Devin, and they did that to Sid. Like, we were fronting in the post, and the ball was lobbed, so they went to go grab the basketball, and the kids, since they released defensively, the kids just fell. And, yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about the referee, but I'm just saying the kids just fell.
It's okay. Trust me, I'm not allowed to either, and we get warned, like, when we do our basketball workshop before the season, they're like, okay, just that we understand there's going to be bad calls, but don't say anything.
Yeah, and, to the credit, they were bad. Both ways, both teams could have had calls, so it's not just on us. There were some things that swing the other way, too, so it wasn't, I don't think it was biased either way, and they do the best job that they can, for sure, and you can't do those things when you're playing a team as good as Grand Valley.
What was the call that you got animated about? I forget.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I think I got more.
I think I got more. You watched the film 3 times.
I know. I think I got more animated at our kids when they did things wrong. That's when I was getting animated. That's for sure. Mostly.
I was getting ready to go to before I got distracted. The one thing that your team, I forget how many points it got to, like 3 or 4. Within under a minute to play, and then turnovers.
Yeah.
I think that's all you really need to say. But besides practice, how else do you limit those? Because it seems like game after game, something always has happened.
We're doing a lot of things, and it's an emphasis every day. So we just gotta get better at it.
You think it's? When you look at the box score, Martha, 7 turnovers, and that's something that I'm sure you don't expect out of her. Do you think it's just like a mind over matter with her now?
Yeah, she had a bad game. People have bad games. It happens. She's got to move on, and she was in the gym late last night when I left the office, and, when you have your point guard in the gym trying to work on things late at night, you can't really ask for much more.
Well, now you jump into the best time of the year, conference play, your first GLVC conference play as a coach. Are you ready?
I hope so. We're trying. One game at a time.
You're now traveling. You'll be traveling with the men now for the rest of the season. Well, for 2 games, then you go to Cedarville.
Yeah, so just 2 conference games, and then we don't play conference again until January.
So I'm sure you've started looking at Wisconsin Parkside.
Mm-hmm.
I believe UIndy beat them last year. If I recall right, I did not get a look at the schedule yet. What things are you preparing for them?
Defensively, they play zone and man, so we got to be able to be prepared for both. And again, like St. Edward's, their point guard is their leading scorer, so we got to be able to defend her, and then just be able to take care of the basketball and for us as a team to get better. I always, when we do scouts, they're very important, but I'm so focused on what we need to do to be better, and how we need to become a better basketball team.
When you look at this time last year, we are at November the 29th now. You guys were 1-6.
Okay.
What's the turnaround?
we've played a tough schedule too, and I think that's helped prepare us as well. But I think the kids have just bought into what we're trying to do, and they've done a nice job, and they've worked really hard.
And after that, this is kind of a back-to-back that you guys did last year around the same time, except it was at Nickerson Hall. You guys lost both to Lewis and Parkside actually at home. And then you guys, I think you were on the road and played them, the last couple of games of the season. Lewis was ranked 6th in the nation, and you guys had a lead going into the end of the third quarter. I'm sure have you started looking at film for them yet?
My assistants have.
So you have no idea about Lewis yet. You're just.
I mean, of course, you have an
focused.
idea about Lewis. You know, they're one of the best teams in the country, and they're really well coached, and so you have some sort of idea. And they played at our place early in the year for that conference challenge, so we got to see a little bit.
Oh,
there.
You're right. You're right.
So yeah, you know a little bit about your conference. You know, you check everybody out, so you have some sort of. You know, I've just focused on Parkside right now, and my assistants do a great job scouting, so they're on top of it really.
I think you just gave me a Bill Belichick answer. You know who Bill Belichick is?
Yes, I know who Bill Belichick is.
He says we're just focused on whoever his upcoming opponent is. But yeah.
Well, we are, because if you don't win that game, then you go 0-1 to lose. I mean, you got to focus one game at a time, because if you don't, your kids don't. What
a coach. What words?
That's true, though. I mean, stuff is cliche, but that's how you got to be able to do it. And, you know, because we got to keep the main thing, and that's what we preach to our kids is trust the process. I mean, that was the thought of the day yesterday.
Have I told you that my professor, my general manager, that is his go-to?
The trust the process
Trust
part?
the process. I saw you tweeted something about it yesterday, and I was like, I can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it. It's everywhere.
But yeah, it's definitely been a different season for you guys. Hey, quickly before we go, I wanted to mention something. I forgot about it. You came over for the post-game interview on Saturday, and you almost didn't have a voice.
No, I didn't.
So now you're getting to that optimum level where you're starting to yell now.
I'm starting to yell. Well, the other problem is I don't have a coach's voice. It doesn't carry. So, like, if we have a couple days of practice in a row, like, I have to scream to the other end of the floor for kids to hear me. So my whistle comes in handy. And I forgot my whistle at Puerto Rico. So for 2 practices in a row, I didn't have my whistle. And
you can use your whistle during games?
No, I don't during games. But if I don't have it during practice, my voice starts to go. And then we had 2 straight games, and we were in the Coliseum. I just, I drink a lot of tea.
What kind of tea?
Green tea.
Green tea. I've never had it before.
I always drink green tea. And then I always have with me on the bench, if you don't notice, I have vitamin C, like, drops for my throat. So during the game, it helps me not lose my voice.
Is that what Coach Phillips is for, to yell?
Yes, she actually repeats me very well on the bench because her voice carries.
Now we know why you hired her.
She has that gift. Oh, I hired her for a lot of reasons, but that is definitely one that's helpful.
All right, Coach. Well, you got Parkside and you got Lewis this week on the road. First GOVC road trip of the year. All the best of luck.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Coach Stan Gouard. 1 game, 1 win for his Greyhounds this weekend. They traveled to Kentucky State to face the Thoroughbreds. Coach, out of the Thanksgiving break, just got to ask, did you enjoy the day or two that you had off with your family?
No, of course I did. It's always great to sit back, kick back, and enjoy family. Had some family in town, had the guys over, of course. But, anytime you can get away, step away from the daily grind of life and just sit back and fellowship with family, it's always great.
Now, is this something you've done the past couple of years with your team, or is it something new this year?
No, pretty much every year. Since we practice over Thanksgiving break, I always have the guys over for dinner. It's been a thing I've done since becoming a head coach. Last year, I think, was the first year we didn't do it because I was in transition. I sold my other house and then was living in temporary housing for a short time, and over the Thanksgiving break, we couldn't do it. But we're back to normal schedule now, and we had all the guys over on Thanksgiving and had some good eats, and those guys went back home and took a lot of food with them, of course, but they had a good time.
Now, of course, you had a game this weekend. It was Saturday against Kentucky State. You guys came out on the winning side, 94-83. And, when I look at the stat sheet, just the overall team statistics, it seems as if your team had played totally different than what we've seen all season. Did you notice anything different than
Well, we had a tough week of practice. As I said in the post-game interview, we wanted to compete on the high level. We wanted to finish plays, and we wanted to, just win a lot of the 50-50 plays. I felt like we prepared better during the week in preparation for Kentucky State. I felt like our guys practiced harder all week. They didn't enjoy practice, but at the same time, it helped us, get a win on Saturday. So a lot of the things we did in practice carried over into the basketball game finally. So that was a great feeling as a coach because we prepared, for other games all week. But, I felt like we went to other games and laid an egg. But in this particular case, we kind of got rewarded for our hard work in practice all week.
Now, when I look at the starting five, you kind of mix things up a little bit. How do you think that really affected them Saturday?
Well, I'm trying to find the right group of guys that's going to gel together, get us off to better starts. So we're still playing around with the lineup. Some guys are happy about it, some guys are not. But at the same time, you just got to be ready when your number's called. And guys responded pretty well on Saturday. The starters responded pretty well, and even the guys who normally start responded pretty well as well. So really happy with the way we, for the most part, happy with the way we played the basketball game. I felt like I said, we competed, and that's all I wanted to do is compete on a higher level. I wasn't happy with the way we was losing basketball games and the way we played, and I felt like we played a little bit better on Saturday.
Do you see this game Saturday as maybe a turning point in the season?
Well, we hope. It's definitely something to build on. We always go back and show our guys the things we did in the loss. We clip the tape and let our guys watch. But this week we'll do the same thing. We'll go back. We'll put some good on the game tape finally and let our guys watch the good, the bad, and the ugly, as I call it. But it definitely builds momentum going into conference play at Parkside on Thursday night.
Now, how big was this win for you guys, not only to get your second win of the season, but to get that one win before you go into conference play?
Well, any win it boosts your morale and confidence. But a road win, of course, that was a tough game on Saturday. That Kentucky State, those guys did a good job of driving the basketball and challenging us at a lot of different levels. So I think it's a confidence builder going into Parkside on Thursday. Also, hopefully we can carry that momentum into the basketball game. But at the same time, there are still a lot of things we got to get better at.
Now, as you said, an adjustment in the lineup. So that shifts the way your bench plays. 27 points is what your bench scored on Saturday compared to only 8 bench points for them. Now, you mentioned some of the guys who weren't happy about that. How do you handle that, though, as a coach telling somebody, oh, you're not going to be starting?
Well, it goes back with our team theme going into the season, all in or in the way. And we told guys from day one that you're either all in or in the way. And if you're in the way, you're probably not going to play very much. So you got to accept your role, whether you're playing 40 minutes, 25 minutes, 1 minute. It was funny you talk about that because we threw Miles into the basketball game the other day. He hadn't played all year. He had a great week of practiced pretty good, and he kind of got rewarded for his hard work in practice. And he gave us some pretty good minutes. So he's a guy on his basketball team that may have a shot at playing a little bit more as the season goes along.
Now, one guy that has really remained one of two constants for you in the lineup this year and has really been your consistent point scorers, Jesse, 29 and 7, and it seems like every time I talk to you, he always ends up in the conversation. What is so different about him this year?
Well, I felt like last year was a great learning experience for him as a freshman. He played, I think, 10, 11 minutes as a freshman last year, and I think that helped him to understand going into the season, to help him to understand, like, what we expected as coaches, but he also saw last year on how good he can actually be. And this year we threw him into the starting role as a sophomore, and he's embraced it pretty well. I think that Ball State game back in November really helped him in terms of confidence. And he went back and took a look at that game, and he understood how good he can really be playing against Division I opponents. He shoots the ball with a great deal of confidence. He's an inside-out player. Still got to get better on the defensive end, but with the way he shoots it, he stretches the defense pretty well, and he can go inside and score because he's so strong. But he's been a guy that we've been leaning on since that Ball State game. I felt like going into the season he was going to be one of our top 3 scorers. I didn't project him being what he is now. Really surprised me, but I'm really happy with the surprise. He's playing really well right now. A great deal of confidence, and again, once his body matures where it should be, he's going to be special.
The one guy that we talked about early on in the season was Alex. You told me that he came up to you and was asking, why you're not getting more playing time, and you said because you can't stay out of foul trouble. Well, Saturday he gave you 25 minutes, 11 points, and he also added in 5 rebounds. Have you noticed a slight change in his game as the season progresses?
Saturday was the first game that Alex played in a while where he didn't complain about a call. He didn't complain about minutes. He just played the game. And I feel like the play of the game for Alex was as soon as he got into the basketball game, there was they shot the basketball, and he usually leaks out and not rebound. He turned around, and I watched him run because I was paying attention to how he rebounded in this particular play. But he sprinted from the top of the key and ran in there, and he didn't get the ball, but he was able to tip it out to our guys. And then he did the same thing 2 plays in a row when they shot the basketball, and then when we shot, he did the same thing. So he was just a different person on Saturday. He's fully engaged for 40 minutes, and it showed in the way he played in the basketball game, not just with his production point-wise, but with how many minutes he played. He didn't foul. He made some pretty good decisions for the most part on both ends of the basketball court. So hopefully we can get that again this weekend on the road.
Are you starting to notice A.J. becoming a little more comfortable as the season wears on?
He's getting better. I feel like sometimes he goes too fast, and we did a better job on Saturday of controlling A.J. in terms of his speed. I feel like last year on the scout team as a redshirt, there was no pressure on him in terms of needing him to play in the basketball game, and now it's different for him. He's shaking the dust off still, like I said last week. But A.J. is he's coming along, and hopefully, again, this weekend he's ready to go. But he's getting better. He's going to come in this week and watch some game film and get extra shots up, and he's had a good week of practice. So we're really excited about his potential, where he could be in a couple weeks.
Now, it seems like one guy that we have not really discussed a whole lot, and maybe plays a smaller role in what Jesse and A.J. do. It's Rod. There's been games when he's scored maybe 2 points. There's a game against Lake Superior State where he played 3 minutes. Well, Saturday he gave you good minutes. He got you 8 points and 3 rebounds in the starting role. How crucial is it for him to develop throughout the season?
Well, he's still building his confidence as well. Coming from Wright State, so it's different for him. So we're trying to bring him along as quick as possible. But he had a really good game for us on Saturday. He rebounded the ball pretty well, and he was a rim protector. He did a really good job when those guards drove it in of altering shots. He didn't block anybody. He altered shots. Those guys were in fear of him because of his size. He got a big rebound for us late in the basketball game. It was a tip dunk, and we haven't seen it all year. We knew he could do it, but it was his first time really crashing the boards the way he did in this particular play, and really, got the bench going, got our team going, and he was really good for us. So I think his best basketball is ahead of him. But like I say all the time, we still got work to do, but his best basketball is ahead of him.
Now you got a weird schedule coming your way.
Very weird.
Thursday you go to Wisconsin Parkside. This is normal, Wisconsin Parkside, and then you go play at Lewis on Saturday. And then you come back home December the 10th to play Olivet Nazarene, and then you go to Florida for a 2-game trip. First of all, Wisconsin Parkside, I think they remember what happened the last time you guys played a regular season game at home. Only thing that's missing is the guy that scored 29 in the second half. What's your game plan against them?
Well, we got to control McCullum and Brown. Those guys are averaging – one kid is averaging 16 points a game. The other kid is averaging 17. They're 4-1, and they're playing pretty well right now. I think they just beat Ferris State on Saturday night. So they're hot, and they're at home. We beat those guys twice last year at our place and at their place. So I wouldn't say we have the number. We played pretty well against those guys in the years past. But the game plan is going to be, of course, to stop the big two on those guys' roster, McCullum and Brown. Really good shooters. They can get into the paint very well, but they really push the basketball very well, and we struggle with our transition defense. So we've been preparing all week in terms of our transition defense, trying to make that a whole lot better than what it is because we've given up too many points in transition. So that's one. Two, we got to be able to play through some adverse situations. We tend to struggle when the going gets tough, and all week in practice we've done things to put our guys in situations where they got to think a little more. You know, they got to make a big stop, they got to make a big play. So hopefully that'll carry over to the basketball game. But McCullum and Brown are the key to those guys. They make those guys go. We got to control the boards, of course, and we got to be able to score the basketball. I felt like, you know, in the prior games, with the exception of Kentucky State, we struggled with scoring a little bit. We didn't execute very well on both ends. And we as a team, we got to be two-way players. You know, we can't just be one-dimensional the entire night. Everybody's got to buy in, and everything's got to work out in our favor in terms of defense, because I feel like if we do get some stops, we'll build some momentum on the offensive end.
And after that game, you go down south. You play the Flyers of Lewis. And first of all, I got to ask you, is it slightly relieving for you not to have to prepare for Max Strus anymore?
Yes, it is. But I feel for Coach Trost. He's done a great job up at Lewis. I know they're struggling a little bit just as we are. But that's a tough situation when you have your star player transfer to a Division I school. I remember talking to him in the summertime, this past summer rather, about the situation, and it hurts because you built your team around one particular player, and then he transfers out. So hopefully I'll never go through that with the guys I have, because I feel like I have a pretty good young nucleus of guys, Tate Hall, Jimmy King, Jesse Kimson. Those guys are young. It could happen to anybody, but I just pray that it doesn't happen to me, because we have some really good young guys in our program. But I'm very relieved not to play against them, but also at the same time, I don't wish that on anybody, because, like I said, he's built that team around Max, and he ended up transferring out.
Yeah, speaking of Max Strus, I'm looking at the ball statistics right now, and he has not even played this season, so I think they're redshirted.
He's going to redshirt. When you transfer up, you got to sit a year. So
right.
He's got to sit out for a year, and then he'll play the year after. But just a sad situation. But, yeah, he's got to sit out this year, and he'll be ready to go the year following. But I tend to keep up with guys. You know, I'm sure I keep up with him because, you know, he's been a guy that's been a thorn on my side for years. But I'm happy not to be playing against him. But, again, I do not wish that on anybody in our league.
Are you close with a lot of the coaches in this conference?
Yes, I am. I talked to a number of guys. I talked to Coach Watson down at Southern Indiana quite a bit. Tom Church, I'm probably closer with him than anybody in the league over at St. Joe. But, you know, we're competitors, first of all, and people see us on the sideline compete against each other. And some people feel like, some people from the outside looking in think that we don't like each other. But that's not the case, you know. We see each other on the road. We're cordial. Had a chance, and I know you're probably smirking. You're probably thinking Scotty Davenport.
Yep.
Believe it or not, he and I talked quite a bit on the road in the summertime. We were at the shootout over at Warren High School this summer, and I walk in the gym. He's sitting over there, and he beelines my way, and we sat and we talked for 45 minutes. And people in our league were looking over like, what are you guys doing? Like, and I was getting text messages like, you're talking to him? Yeah, I respect him. I respect what he's done over there. Now, when the ball's tipped up, we're not good friends. But when the game's over and I see him on the road, we respect one another, and we're very cordial with one another. So there's a fine line of respect there. But, there's been some moments where he and I didn't see eye to eye on things, and we talked through it.
Probably during the games, I'm guessing.
Of course. I wouldn't say we go to dinner or we hang out with each other, but when we see each other on the road, we're very respectful to one another because we respect what each other has done over the years.
I do got to ask, since you brought him up, I don't know how you felt that I was thinking of him.
I just see the look on your face. I'm sure everybody does.
How hard is it to play there? I know that place is crazy whenever you go there. How hard is it to play?
Well, it's a great feeling. If I was a player, I would love that type of atmosphere. To go on the road, of course, to be on the opposite bench. It's just a great feeling as a player to go down in an environment such as the one at Bellarmine. Lewis has a great environment as well. But as a player, you have to love going into those type of situations. As a coach, you get the jitters because you never know how your team is going to react to the crowd. If you think about last year, we go in there with a great game plan. I felt like we were going to go there and win that basketball game. I think we lost by 30 or 40, the worst loss I ever took as a head coach. And I remember during that game, I looked over at Coach Wright and said, if this was the NBA where I can get ejected and not get suspended, I probably got ejected because I didn't want to. It was so bad. We did everything wrong in that basketball game because, like I said, the game plan was awesome, I felt like. And we strayed away from the game plan. Of course, they made everything they threw up. And we found ourselves down 15 to 20 points before you knew it. But we kept fighting. I kept fighting for our guys. But at some point, at one point, rather, I was so disappointed in the way we came out, the way we dealt with adversity, the way we responded when we didn't get a call or didn't make a shot, because I felt like we quit last year. But it's a great environment. I hope that we can one day have that type of environment here because that's a tough environment to go play in.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when you had Dejon and Jordan and Brennan and Joe, I remember when they played here, it was a packed house and that game came down through the wire. But, yeah, I think that one thing that maybe that Davenport holds on to is the fact that, 3 years ago when Jordan first came here? I think he remembers what happened.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did. Jordan played really well there. I'll tell you what, I remember when those guys beat us for the regional championship game, and we played that clip of those guys celebrating to the team this year, and we played the clip to our team this year also of us losing to Ferris State because we don't want to go out like that this year. But I remember when those guys beat us in the regional championship game, and our guys were walking off, but I made our guys come back on the court to look at those guys celebrate because I wanted that to be us the following year. But I remember going up to Scotty Davenport and just shaking his hand, and my exact words were, we may not ever see eye to eye on things on the court, but I respect what you've done here. And they've done a good job over there. Bellarmine is elite basketball team at Division II. But Jordan Lloyd has really played well against those guys. And I know last year he was hanging out with someone down there, and he and Lucas had been down hanging out on that campus quite a bit. And I'm sure those guys remember that. And that was just a bad game for us. I'll never forget it because that was the worst loss, like I said, I took as a head coach.
Wasn't the game before that the Southern Indiana game where it came literally right down to the clock striking zeros?
Yes, we ended up winning to Southern Indiana.
Yeah,
we won that basketball game. We stole one there. I felt like we didn't play well enough to win that basketball game, but down the stretch, we stole it. So going into that Bellarmine game, we had a great deal of confidence, of course, and just got off to a terrible start and couldn't get going.
Well, Coach, it has been a pleasure. You got Wisconsin Parkside. You got Lewis this week. We hope for the best.
Oh, I do too. Thank you, guys.
Looking at the week that is ahead for both the men's and the women's team, a little dosage of conference play headed both of their ways. The women's team, they start off the action at 6:30 Thursday night against the Wisconsin Parkside Rangers. The men's team, their game against the Rangers will get underway after that one. Same goes for Saturday, except a new destination. They will be in Romeo, Illinois to face off against the Lewis Flyers, with the women's game getting underway at 2. and the men's game following that one. This has been the Overtime Period. I have been your host, Jacob Phillips. Thanks for listening.